Okay, I found the messages, which I have documented before, but this is between me and my aunt, who is younger than Kathy and a little more involved in the situation because it's her mother that was supposed to have been in charge of the will. So I asked her, I said, I have a question. You might not be able to help, and I understand if you can't. You weren't exactly around at the time. I'm trying to remember my childhood. My therapist thinks remembering will help me clear my mind of the pain I locked away. I only remember enough to know it wasn't a good time, and I remember stories Meemaw told me as an adult. She was always wanting me to remember, but I couldn't. Is there anything you could remember about me from that period? Anything that might help jog my memory? Specifically, I'm trying to validate one. Do you know if my father ever went to prison? I have memories of visiting him that work there, swimming in the quarry with Jennifer. Meemaw said it was because he tried to rape a 13-year-old girl who was at our house to buy drugs from him. I have no actual proof this happened. Not that Meemaw would lie, but she didn't much like him, and she told me horror stories. This might be all new to you. I'm aware you had your own life going. Anything might help. My personality, things that seem strange. I know I was a weird kid. I hope everything is going well for you and your family. She says, I do remember your dad getting caught with that 13-year-old, but I don't know if he went to prison or not. It did seem like he was gone for a while. I'm so sorry you're having to go through this. We're a family. I'm always here for you, for memories of you. I'll help you any way I can. I hope you're okay. The girls are good. Thanks for asking. I know you went through hell, and I'm here for you. I hope this helps your therapy stay strong. You got this. Okay. Did he beat my mom the day Ronnie Jr. was born? That's something else Mima always said, that Bubba was the way he was because my dad tried to kill him in utero, thinking he was a girl. I know he was cruel. He beat her my entire childhood, so I don't know why that part seems untrue. I guess part of me has always tried to pretend he wasn't that bad. No one wants to believe their parents are evil, but I think he was. And she responded, he did. And I'm sorry to tell you that. Okay? So, no, I am not lying about my father's abuse. I'm not lying about the fact that my brother was born handicapped because of my father's abuse. My cousin remembers it. Meemaw told me long ago. I knew, but I don't think my sisters do. And my mom is in complete denial. If you ask her, he was the best husband and father. It's something we all have to deal with in our own way. Meemaw was the only one that really understood why I was the way he was. So I made a video about Bubba. Let's see. Okay, her daughter and her are two other family members who know how much I've suffered and still are fighting to find myself. We understand is all I'm saying. I love you and always here for you. I also don't care what the rest of the family thinks anymore. It used to hurt that everyone looked down on me and mocked me and tried to say PTSD isn't real unless you've been to war. My childhood was a war and I survived it. I spent a lot of years confused and trying to kill the pain with drugs, and I can admit that I did wrong in those years. But near every single person in our bloodline has had problems with addiction. Meemaw herself had a drinking problem for many years, stemming from the abuse she suffered as a child. It's a common thing for people with CPTSD to struggle with. I needed support, and all I got was judgment by people who did worse than I ever would. Everyone said there was nothing wrong with me because everyone went through the same pain. It became normal and just part of the cycle of abuse. The mindset that if I went through it, you deserve to as well. Many in our family are suffering from CPTSD and will never admit that they are sick because it's so much easier to just keep being sick than it is to work on yourself. I always knew I was different from the rest of you, and I'm fine with that now. Okay, this is last year. This is, my entire life, this family has told me that I don't have PTSD. I haven't gone through anything, blah, blah, blah. So why am I diagnosed with these things? Why do I have a niece who is also diagnosed with PTSD from living in the same family? You're no different from my daughters and I. We've been through a lot also, and my daughter has CPTSD also. Let's see, do you have any pictures? I never did get any pictures. This is when they pretended that my niece was missing. That was a long thing. Okay, so, but what was important here was that somebody was telling the truth about my father. This was just before Meemaw passed away, and Kathy and Sarah and her children were staying with us, and Sarah was being extremely antagonistic to me. Like, this is all not even new, because Sarah has always hated me. She's always been antagonistic to me. They're going to throw my 3 years of drug addiction in my face for the rest of my life, when Kathy was on pain medication for like 20 years. My mom was an alcoholic, probably still. I don't know her. But the last time I spoke to her, she was still a drinker, right? Like, I have an aunt, Sue, that literally died from drying out because she drank her whole life. And the doctor told her that her liver was kaput. If she didn't stop drinking, she was going to die. And when she stopped drinking, she died because she was that addicted to alcohol. Addiction is the freaking blood of my family. I pulled away from it because all I do now is smoke weed. I don't drink except on special occasions. Sorry, I don't do heavy drugs. And they're going to forever hold 3 years of my life over my head and put me down for 3 years of mistakes, when they all had their own decades of mistakes that nobody is throwing back up in their face. Except I guess I kind of am, because every time they watch my channel, they're reminded of what they did to me. And they don't like that. You know, that makes, I kind of understand why she hates my channel so much now, because she has to see what I'm going through. And it's harder for her to go to sleep at night and pretend that I'm not suffering like she could with my mother. It was easy for Kathy to live up there with her children happily, while my mother, her sister, who she talks about so lovingly now, was being beaten so badly that her own child was born handicapped. Kathy knew it was happening for decades and turned her back and lived her own life, and now she wants me to shut up because she doesn't want to hear it. So no, I'm not. I will never shut up. I will never stop screaming. And I'm not going to be intimidated anymore by this family. I don't want to be a part of this family. I don't want any of them. I'm on my own. I have been for years. The only thing I wanted from them after Meemaw passed away was for the will to be read so that I would have what Meemaw left me. And they said that that made me a horrible person because I wanted the will to be read. None of them wanted the will read because none of them were left in it, and none of them were going to be homeless on the street without it. I was living with Meemaw for multiple reasons. It was, she needed somebody to live with her, or she would go to the nursing home. And I had too many mental disorders to live on my own because I couldn't work. I still can't. So I've always had issues, and this family has always denied it. And it's extremely detrimental to somebody to consistently deny that there's anything wrong with them. Because if you tell somebody who has PTSD that they're just faking it, and they don't seek help for that PTSD because everybody in their life thinks they're faking it, and it gets worse, And you're going to keep blaming the sick person for getting worse when you're literally denying them help and putting them down for wanting it. Fuck this family. Seriously. Just fuck off. Just leave me to rot. Just leave. I don't want any of them. I don't want her. I don't want her daughters. I don't want her grandchildren or her cousins or her nieces or nephews. I don't want anybody related to me, near me, ever again in my life. I'm not attacking them. I'm not going to their pages and saying things to them and threatening them. I didn't even put anybody's name in the book. If Kathy had not reviewed it using her name, people would not have known it was her that was being referenced. I didn't even put my own name in the book. What? But okay. I'm frustrated. I gotta go find a lawyer. I'm out.